Good day and welcome back. I'm recording a few clips now to talk about how I go about managing the forest that's going to be on my property. I don't burn anything unless I have to. I hear about this biochar that people talk about. It's supposed to last for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. And then I think about a quote by Rod Finlay. He said, the funny thing about sustainability is that you have to sustain it. And also from Albert Einstein, he said you can't get yourself out of a problem by going at it with the same attitude that got you into it in the first place. So the two attitudes that I find is quite prevalent in all of society, and it is in the homesteading permaculture society as well, is one is instant gratification. They think they can have a garden go from nothing to a fully developed garden that's going to give you all your food and lumber and whatever in a matter of months. The other thing is completion. That they can actually get to a point where now the garden is complete. I can sit back and drink my margarita and watch food grow. Neither is possible. Gardens will take time, and once they have gotten to the vision that you had in the beginning, they will be a constant maintenance. So going back to biochar, my objection to it is that you're burning a lot of organic matter to get that small little bit that you think is going to last for hundreds, thousands of years. Whereas if you put all of that biomass in the soil, it will build up a humus layer that will last just as long. Since we're here, I'll show you this tree now. So I cut them down. I'm going to get as much lumber as this is possible, and the lumber I want, I don't think I could buy even if I had the money. You see, what I want, you see the grain goes around in circles in wood, right? And I want the grain to run straight across my 2x4 and straight down. So I have to cut this across the center, and then cut this off like this and like this until I get down small. As long as I can get a 2x2 out, I'll keep cutting the wedges. That no lumber yard will do. What they normally do is just start on the edge and go slice, slice, slice down through like this. So I have to do this myself for the woodworking project I need. For the general construction grade lumber, it is possible to collect such wood over time from your lumber yard, but for hardwood, no. Not going to get it. But it works down smaller and smaller. It's about 14 inches diameter here, and it's 14 feet from where I cut it off up to this point. When I go down here, I don't know how much I can get. I could get 2x2s, or 2x stock I should say, up here, and then when he's down to the smaller branches, I'll cut out 1x stock. And right now the really smaller limbs I've got cut out in firewood junk lengths. Whether I'm going to use them for firewood now, that's yet to be seen. Now, you might already know I got a chipper, so I started to tend to the trees on the property, and there were so many branches. I was getting huge piles of branches and not wanting to just light a fire to them. I was wondering what I can do, and the idea of wood chips for the pathways and building a food forest came in. So when the chipper went on sale, I bought that one. It takes a stick up to 1 inch across, inch in diameter. So anything bigger than that I'll use for firewood. And I was using my big loppers to cut it off at that point. And I come across this online. They're not in the stores around here, but I found it online. It's 36 volt, 6 inch long bar on it, so it's a little mini chainsaw. Battery operated. So this is a smaller one. I'll just throw it out there. That's below 1 inch. But here's a bigger piece. And I'll cut them off at firewood length. I find when I'm cutting them, it'll cut faster if I turn it like this as it's cutting. You see, you use it one-handed, so handle the branch with one hand and the saw with the other one. And it won't jump like your normal chainsaw will because it's very small. It will if you touch it on the end like this, it will jump. So make sure you don't touch anything out on the end. But it's so small that you can see exactly, you're not likely to touch the end on something like you would with a regular chainsaw. See, I can cut it down really small. Till I can take the branch and throw that out of my way. And in this way, I can greatly increase the amount of firewood that I'm getting from one tree. Last year, I took all my wood from the one place out past the last cabin, and nothing was cut there previously, so it was a fresh piece. And then they updated the satellite, so I was able to, with the satellite image, measure out the area that I actually used to get my year's worth of firewood. Then I come back to the satellite image of this property, and I calculated that I had about 8 years worth of firewood already growing here. Now that is from just cutting down as far as it is safe to cut with a regular chainsaw. Using this, especially with a birch, you're going to have at least a half as much again. You might even have twice as much firewood if I can cut it all down to anything that I figure I can use for firewood. That means I've got 16 years just if I went and just cut everything. But I am planning on tending to it and encouraging it to grow. So that 16 years might turn into 20-25 years. By that time, it should be sustainable to actually just use the wood that's on the property for my firewood. And using that little saw, I cut through the piles of branches that was here, and I got them turned over here. Now all of these two piles are ready. Anything that I thought would give me trouble once I got to the chipper, I corrected that, and then anything over 1 inch I cut up for firewood. And with half of this stuff as well, that was one charge in the 2 batteries. And this is the little stuff that I got cut up. That is quite a bit of firewood. This pile, that's what I cut off the slope. I cut down the trees and I cut up as far as I could with the chainsaw. And I'm going to go through that now with my little mini chainsaw, and we'll see what the difference is, what I have left to go through the chipper and what I've cut up to use as firewood. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the last clip, but I do have a picture on my phone where I had finished off the pile there by the well, and you can see that pile of firewood I have there. The pile of branches, of course, when I repiled everything, they're all fluffed up now. They were originally all settled down, so you couldn't tell really much of a difference in size there. They look bigger now than what they were before. The firewood, on the other hand, I got almost a trailer load of wood. I had a couple of armloads of aspen close by that I squeezed onto there. The birch, it was half a load of what I had cut with the regular chainsaw, but then I got a full load from what I cut with the pruning saw. So this pile here is 2.5 trailer loads, half a quart of wood. Now we're going away from the sun. You see I got some pieces down here that I'm going to cut smaller into firewood lengths. But all of this up here, I don't know how I'm going to get that big piece there, but most of those trees that should be cut away from the wires, I can get them with that pruning saw. And all of this mess here, it's not safe for a normal person because that's a steep cliff there. It's not safe for a normal person to be up there with a regular chainsaw. But with that little pruning saw, I should be able to clean this all off. And with respect to the pole line, there shouldn't be anything more than a ground cover underneath that, which might be a good idea for me to put those vines up there, or something. The kiwi vines. They might do well up there. This video is another one of those, as some people say, you make the problem the solution. Just burning stuff to get it out of the way is not only unsustainable, it's wasting resources. And we can be frugal not only with our money but also with our resources and use what we can. If you are heating your home with wood, we can throw out the old idea that we need the perfect size of a junk and split the perfect way and all this kind of stuff. We can cut it right down to the smallest of pieces. Even the smaller pieces, if you don't have use for grinding up and using as mulch, then you can bind them up into bundles and use those. For myself, like I say, I have 3.5 acres of forest. I don't know how long that will actually last. Like, how fast will it regenerate? Will it regenerate 5 cords of wood in 1 season? Not if I'm just taking the trunks, I don't think. But if I take right down to 1 inch, this is what I'm hoping. That I can tend to the forest and also use the entire tree, and that way that 3.5 acres will be a sustainable harvest for me going forward. So I hope you enjoyed the video and it was inspiring. Hit the like button and come back for more. I'll see you in the next video.